Please touch the rugs. Yeah. Don't mind if I do. If you could smell this soap, you would be buying this soap.
I'm always teased because I love watching the
I
Kardashians.
love them. And I love her monastery home.
Pieces mean something different to you once you know a little more about it.
Hello, and welcome to another installment of Talking and Shopping. Today we're stepping inside the beautiful world of MARARAMIRO. What began as Toronto's first ever shoppable photography studio has expanded to include a new retail location full of thoughtfully curated homewares from around the world, expanding their mission of discovery, creation, and inspiration. Today we'll be spending time with its founder, Tanya Tessier, who takes us behind the scenes to reveal how it all started, coloring in the details about community, creativity, a love for artisanal craft, and narrating your own story through thoughtful design. So we're here at the studio. It's housed in a former toy factory, and it's 700 square feet of natural light, exquisitely furnished, and becomes a blank canvas for brands and creators to create. Let's go meet Tanya. Hello. Nice to meet you, finally.
Yes, welcome to the studio.
So I'm absolutely fascinated at what you have created because this is not where you started.
No.
So you're going to tell me all about it, but I can see that you do have somebody using the space. So we're going to go take a look.
Yes, of course, come on in.
Oh my gosh, it's so beautiful. Cynthia, thank you so much for taking like 2 minutes to chat with me. I know you're finishing up your shoot here. You're a small business here in Toronto. How important is it to have a space like this?
I think you can bring your creativity to life, and it's all about curating beautiful things and bringing that to our clients. So I think that's how important it is to have a beautiful space like that.
Content plays a massive role today. How important is campaign imagery in a product launch?
It's pretty much like I mentioned before, is bringing our dreams into reality. And translating that, it could seem very simple, but making it simple, it's not that simple. Yep. So spaces like that, they let us actually bring into reality, I think.
Yeah, it's bringing the ideas to life. And I think we feel so much better surrounded by beauty.
Exactly.
It's very exciting to be here. I am, like I said, really fascinated by how everything came to be. Can we rewind to what you were doing before and what sparked the idea?
Yeah, so I've always worked in design and retail industries my whole career. I started in fashion design actually, and then worked in that industry for many years, and then eventually pivoted to do a similar type of work in home decor, and eventually in art specifically, and that led up to the beginning of the pandemic when MARARAMIRO was born.
How did you land on a shoppable photography studio?
Yes. So the store was always the plan. We started the business during peak COVID lockdowns, like early in the pandemic when retail was very uncertain. So we knew at the time we wanted to launch the store online, but we needed a space to shoot our own photography for e-commerce, for our website, for social media. Then I decided, I had the idea, that maybe I should create my own space that I can furnish with my own product and shoot my own photography. And so we decided to open it up to everyone else. And we really came out of nowhere. I didn't know anyone in the industry. We didn't have a social media following.
That is wild. It's
yeah.
wild.
We just kind of opened the e-commerce store, opened the studio, launched our website and our social media all in one day with 0 followers anywhere. And it just happened, and immediately we started booking really big brands.
You've had NYX, Ella, OVO.
Everyone needed content, everyone needed to launch new websites, to launch their own social medias just the same way we were.
It is just so fascinating. I just think it's insane because it is just it is born from such positivity. and solving a problem. Why are you drawn to home furnishings and beautiful art objects?
I've always been drawn to design in some way from really when I was a kid and could pick up a crayon. So I was always the creative one. I learned how to sew at quite a young age and was the kid in high school who made all of her own clothes. And my career in fashion ultimately led to the pivot to home decor. So it kind of felt like a full circle.
You've supported local artists and various designers, whether it's here in the studio or the online boutique, but why is artisanal craft so important to you?
We're slowly losing those techniques and not using them, and everyone's looking for faster, easier, less expensive ways to produce things, and people hang on to things less. And I think it's really sad, and if we don't want those traditional ways of crafting to die, we really have to make a conscious effort to keep supporting artists.
Storytelling weaves through chapter 1, which is the studio, and now chapter 2, which is the retail space, where we're going to next. But first, before we go, can you tell me how to pronounce the name and where the name comes from?
Our name is MARARAMIRO, and it's from the Shona language from Zimbabwe, where my husband is from. So it's really an ode to my husband. And it roughly translates to the way we live, or a manner of living that encompasses our values.
It's fantastic. So this is the magical new space.
Yes. Thank you.
Oh my God, you've done an amazing job.
Welcome, thank you.
Show me around a bit, and would you mind explaining how you source these incredible finds?
Yes, of course. So we source from all over the world, and inspiration comes from anywhere, really. And I like to work with small makers and small artisans, and actually we have one of our new artists here today.
Fantastic, let's go meet her. Dana, your pieces are fantastic. I love ceramics, and these are just stunning. How long does one piece take, like this size?
It takes a while just because, I build by hand, and so it's a matter of trying to coil and try to build that. It's roughly about 7 hours to build, and then I'll have to wait for it to dry. Sometimes it just takes me a month to finish one piece.
So a lot goes into making the piece and creating it. Then selling it and bringing it to market is a whole other thing. How exciting is it for you to have the support of a Toronto retail location?
I mean, it's obviously very exciting for me, and also because the store specifically curates the pieces very carefully, and I think that really resonates with me because the atmosphere and the aesthetic of the store almost complements my pieces and vice versa. I feel that people these days are very careful of what they invest in. Like, they're very conscious of what they want, and there's definitely a shift towards people caring more about handmade objects.
And it's really evident in your work, the care and the craftsmanship that goes into it, that they most likely will be modern day heirlooms that get passed down.
Yeah, I mean, I hope so. Each object carries a lot of emotions and stories and memories. And so these things kind of get passed towards another owner, and it just keeps building. So the person have seen themselves or their emotions kind of embodied in this object, and then it gets transferred to another person.
Thank you so much for taking the time. I'm gonna get back to Tanya and look around the store. There's just so many amazing things to look at. I don't know how you do it, but let's keep walking and talking, and you can explain how you decide what to stock in the store.
A lot of our vintage pieces come from North and South Africa, our baskets from Brazil, Zimbabwe.
Oh, Tanya, these are just so beautiful. How does one even decide what to take home of these little luxuries?
I would say my favorite would be a vintage piece. So these are called Tonga stools. We have many of them in the store. They're from Zimbabwe, where my husband is from. And what's really interesting about them that people may not notice is that they each have a handle. like this. And so the story is elders would have their own, and they're each carved very uniquely, and they're really representative of the carver and their story. But when people would gather, they would bring their chairs with them. And so it's very important that they're small, compact, and that they have a handle for easy portability. And although we don't use them the same way here, you know, they make a beautiful side table or decorative stool or just an ornament on
But
your
it's also the story that's being told at someone's home when the stool gets there.
Exactly. Something else you might find interesting about this first basket here, it's woven in Brazil by indigenous people in Brazil, but it's actually a baby carrying basket. So you would put your baby in here. And then this is a cover that you can remove and put on that would protect your baby from the elements, rain, wind. And so I just love it.
Yes. And this gets shipped.
Yeah.
Ever so carefully. Let's talk a little bit about the business side of things. What surprised you about opening a brick and mortar?
Opening a brick and mortar has definitely been like the most difficult part of this business so far since we opened. I think what made it even more difficult this time around is that we have a 6-month-old baby. And so I've really been learning how to work in ways that I'm not used to, and really to rely on people to help me, which is also something I'm not used to doing.
So you mentioned your husband, who's a bit of the behind the scenes brain.
Yes.
Can you talk about working with Terrance?
Yeah. He is really the other half of this business, even though I'm a little bit more the face. He's very much into technology, so he's been able to set up all of our tech and behind the scenes, and I'm a little more on the merchandise and the sourcing and, you know, like pricing, hands-on product stuff, which is what I'm used to and I spent my career doing. So I think we complement each other well.
Please touch the rugs. Don't mind if I do.
So these are samples we have. Each rug is custom made in Ethiopia, and the weaving of the rugs really support underprivileged people in Ethiopia. And every time you order a rug, we share a video of your actual artisans weaving your particular rug, and then you receive it with a handwritten note from the weavers.
That's remarkable.
Yeah, those are photos of actual weavers making the rugs. Nothing is dyed. All of the colors you see here are the natural colors of the sheep's wool.
So there really is a gallery feel, which I assume was very intentional.
Until now, we had our online store, and it was almost easier to tell the stories behind products and brands online because people are looking at a screen, they can read things.
Yes, of course.
So it was definitely something that we really had to think about in the store is when someone walks in, how do we tell the story of the pieces that people can learn and appreciate while browsing? Pieces mean something different to you once you know a little more about it. So we intentionally set it up a little bit more like a gallery, not only because we wanted to highlight and almost put on a pedestal items that we feel are so special and deserve to be highlighted, but we also needed a way to tell story. And I'm glad that I'm able to offer something that invites people
To have a conversation.
to have a conversation, to ask those questions, because I don't think there's a lot of stores where, you know, in the city where you would go in and browse and just be prompted to ask, like, what is this store's story? Where do all these pieces come from? How did you get here?
You're totally right. And it's
Yeah.
just bananas in the best possible way that exactly kind of what you set off to do is translated.
And it's been really a pleasure to see our customers face to face, which we've never had the opportunity to do until now, and just to get like firsthand real like reactions and have conversations with them like that.
Oh my God, the Kim Kardashian with Axel.
There's
Say
nothing.
it. Vervoort. Axel Vervoort.
I'm always teased because I love watching the
I
Kardashians.
love them. I love
them too.
And I love her monastery home. Well, how would you describe your interior style?
I've always been drawn between like earth tones and neutral tones and just colors that appear and fabrics and textures that appear naturally in nature. I just love mixing and matching because I find if you consciously pick pieces that you love and that feel like you and you take your time and they tell a story, your style will just come together and evolve.
So we probably could talk for hours about design, decor, the stories behind the products, business, what goes into everything. But my last question is, what do you want people to take away once they visited your beautiful new space?
I want people to appreciate the art of really slowing down and to recognize feelings of nostalgia and really appreciate imperfections in the products that we have and in things that they bring into their home, because I think imperfections are what tell the biggest stories and are the most beautiful in my eyes.
It's been an absolutely brilliant afternoon seeing both spaces and sitting down with you. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
And having us in your new shop.
It was a pleasure. I'm so glad you stopped by.